It is 1976, Sacramento, California. Suburban neighborhoods stretch for miles, ranch-style homes, neat lawns. Families sleep behind unlocked doors. The American dream in quiet streets. But at night, someone is watching, learning routines, studying homes, waiting. This is the story of Joseph DeAngelo, a man who terrorized California for more than a decade. A man who committed at least 13 murders, 50 rapes, and over 100 burglaries. A man who was not caught for 40 years. A man who lived as a neighbor, a husband, a father, while carrying secrets that would destroy lives. The attacks began in June 1976, a single man breaking into homes in the early morning hours. He wore a mask. He carried a flashlight. He moved silently. He ransacked homes while families slept. He stole small items, coins, jewelry, nothing of great value. The burglaries seemed random. Police called him the Visalia ransacker. Then the crimes changed. In October 1975, a young woman was attacked in her home, raped. The attacker had entered through a window. He wore a mask. He whispered threats. He left without being identified. More attacks followed. Women alone in their homes, or couples tied up, separated. The attacker was methodical. He brought pre-cut lengths of rope. He knew the layout of the homes. He had been inside before, watching, preparing. By 1977, the attacks had spread across Sacramento, then to other cities, Stockton, Modesto, Davis. The pattern was the same. Late-night entry, bindings, whispered threats. He would separate couples, tie the man, take the woman to another room. He placed dishes on the man's back. He said if he heard them move, he would kill everyone. Then he would attack. Police began to connect the cases. They called him the East Area Rapist. He attacked more than 50 women. He was careful. He left little evidence. No fingerprints, no clear DNA. Witnesses described a man of average height, athletic build, masked, but descriptions varied. Sketches did not match. He seemed to be a ghost. The attacks were terrifying, not just for the violence, but for the preparation. Victims reported that he knew their names, their schedules, their routines. He had been watching them for days, maybe weeks. He called them on the phone before the attacks, breathing, saying nothing, or whispering threats. After the attacks, he would call again, taunting, reminding them. In 1979, the attacks stopped in Northern California. For months, there was silence. Police believed he had moved, or been arrested for another crime, or died. But then, in Southern California, a new series of crimes began. This time, couples killed in their homes, bludgeoned, shot. The violence was extreme. The crimes were linked by method, by evidence, by the careful planning. Police called this new killer the original Night Stalker. They did not connect him to the East Area Rapist. Not yet. The crimes were in different regions, different jurisdictions, different years. The technology to link them did not exist. The cases remained separate. For decades, between 1979 and 1986, the original Night Stalker murdered at least 10 people, couples in Orange County, Ventura County, Irvine. The attacks were brutal. The killer entered homes at night. He bound victims. He killed them. He lingered in the homes. He ate their food. He rummaged through belongings. Then he disappeared. In 1986, the murders stopped. No explanation. No final victim. Just silence. The cases went cold. Detectives retired. Files were stored. Families waited. Decades passed. The crimes became legend. Unsolved mysteries. Cold cases studied in training academies, but never solved. Joseph DeAngelo was born in 1945 in New York. He joined the Navy. He served in Vietnam. After his discharge, he became a police officer, first in Exeter, a small town in California, then in Auburn. He was a cop during the time of the attacks. He knew police procedures. He knew how investigations worked. He knew what to avoid. In 1979, DeAngelo was fired from the Auburn Police Department. He was caught shoplifting a hammer and dog repellent from a store. He lost his job. His career ended. Shortly after, the East Area Rapist attacks stopped and the Southern California murders began. DeAngelo married. He had children. He worked in a warehouse for decades. He lived in a suburb of Sacramento. He had neighbors. He attended family gatherings. He seemed ordinary, grumpy, perhaps, but ordinary. No one suspected. For 40 years, no one suspected. In the 2000s, advances in DNA technology changed cold case investigations. Detectives began retesting evidence from old crimes. In 2001, DNA linked the East Area Rapist to the original Night Stalker. They were the same person. The cases were combined. The killer was given a new name, the Golden State Killer. The revelation shocked investigators. 50 rapes, 13 murders, over 100 burglaries, all committed by one person across multiple counties over more than a decade. The scale was staggering, but the killer was still unknown. DNA evidence existed, but there was no match in any criminal database. Years passed. The case remained cold. Detectives followed the leads. They re-interviewed witnesses. They used new forensic techniques, but nothing led to an arrest. The Golden State Killer had vanished, presumed dead, or living quietly, hidden. In 2018, investigators tried something new. They uploaded the killer's DNA profile to a public genealogy website, GED Match. a site where people upload their DNA to find relatives. The DNA matched distant cousins of the killer. Investigators built a family tree. They traced lineages. They identified potential suspects. They narrowed the list. One name appeared: Joseph James DeAngelo, a former police officer living in Citrus Heights, a suburb of Sacramento. Investigators began surveillance. They collected his DNA from items he discarded. A tissue. They tested it. It matched. On April 24th, 2018, Joseph DeAngelo was arrested at his home. He was 72 years old, retired, living with family. He did not resist. He seemed confused. He asked why he was being arrested. Police did not answer. They took him into custody. The Golden State Killer had been caught. The arrest shocked the nation. 40 years, dozens of crimes, and he had been living in plain sight. A grandfather, a neighbor, a man who mowed his lawn and complained about noise. He had been hiding in normalcy, in routine, in the assumption that he would never be found. During interrogation, DeAngelo said little. He asked for a lawyer. He did not confess, but the evidence was overwhelming. DNA, crime scene matches, timelines that aligned with his life, his employment records, his address history. Everything fit. In 2020, Joseph DeAngelo pleaded guilty to 13 counts of murder, to multiple counts of kidnapping. The rape charges could not be prosecuted. The statute of limitations had expired, but the families wanted closure. They agreed to the plea. DeAngelo was sentenced to life in prison without parole. 11 consecutive life sentences. During the sentencing, victims spoke. Survivors, family members of those who had been killed. They described the impact, the decades of fear, the trauma, the waiting. DeAngelo sat in a wheelchair. He showed no emotion. He did not apologize. He did not speak. One survivor described how she had lived in fear for 40 years, how every sound at night made her panic, how she never felt safe. Another described losing her parents, murdered in their home, the pain of not knowing who, of waiting for justice that seemed like it would never come. DeAngelo listened. He stared ahead, his face blank. When asked if he had anything to say, he declined. He was led away. He will die in prison. The case changed how cold cases are investigated. The use of genealogy databases became a tool, a controversial tool. Privacy advocates raised concerns, but it worked. It solved a case that seemed unsolvable. It brought answers to families who had waited decades. Joseph DeAngelo is alive. He is incarcerated in California. He is elderly now. His health is failing. He will never be free. But for 40 years, he was free. He lived a normal life, while his victims carried the weight, while families mourned, while detectives searched. He was there, all along, hidden in plain sight. The Golden State Killer is no longer a mystery. He has a name, a face, a history. But the damage remains, the lives destroyed, the decades stolen, the fear that lingers. DNA caught him, but it could not undo what he did. The story ends here, with an old man in prison, with families finally able to close a chapter, with investigators who never gave up. The silence is broken. The monster has a name, and the streets of California, once haunted by an invisible predator, can finally rest. The wait is over. Justice came. Late, but it came, and that, after 40 years, is something.